Dev,
Brian.
can I call you Devi, Dev, since we're like
No,
friends?
I've transitioned.
Excuse me, Miss Brown, Devi Brown.
Debbie Brown.
There you go. But you're also, most importantly, you are the Chief Impact Officer for Chopra Global. You're the
I
Dropping
am.
Gems. You have a lot of titles. You got the Dropping Gems podcast, which you're the host of. Then you're
Yes.
also a former radio host at K-Day. You're author of the best-selling Crystal Bliss book. And, of course, most importantly, you're the mom to the most adorable little boy, Quest.
Thank you, my baby.
Yes.
Yes.
And,
Go.
and most importantly, you're like the biggest Tupac fan I know.
Period. Yeah,
Period.
it's true. And we have had many, and so I love our story too. If I could just share it briefly.
Of course.
So the previous version of me, when I used to work in radio and worked in hip hop, was I was Debbie Dev, which you called me earlier, and I had a chance to work. I worked in radio in LA, where I grew up, and also Houston and New York and me and you connected from when you guys first launched Rap Radar, and connected with you and Elliot like over 10 years ago.
So it's been over 10 years. I can't believe it. Time is a flat circle.
I know, it's wild. And me and you would enjoy quite a few debates about Tupac.
I think the debates are still ongoing, though. But you got to give Pop his respect.
I refuse to debate you New York people about Pac. Because there's never going to be... You're never going to have the appreciation for him that you should, because you're always going to be forced to see him through the lens of Biggie. And I hate that we always have to have a conversation that if you mention Tupac's name, you have to mention Biggie's, and vice versa, when they were their own men with their own callings in life and their own gifts and their own catalog, and they don't have to be compared. It's not one or the other. But every time I talk to one of y'all from New York, it's, yeah, but Biggie, his storytelling, and Tupac used to say this word or that word a lot. And it's like, yo, they're both great. Let them be great. I personally, my soul resonates with Tupac a little bit more, and that's fine.
Listen, we all love Pac. Machiavelli is one of my favorite albums of all time. And it is. I mean, we have that connection because we always say street science, you're on the air.
Street science, you're on the air. So how do you feel about this East Coast versus West Coast? And
I love Tupac's new shit. And it always reminds me of you being a radio host as well. But
yeah,
you know, I think it was really important. I thought about wanting to connect with you today is because yesterday commemorated the 24th anniversary. Well, I don't want to call it an anniversary, but 24 years since Pac's passing. Right. So, and I noticed yesterday that you had some dope Tupac memorabilia that I've never seen. So I was like, yo, Dev, I know she has a storied career, but I think part of her career is also Tupac. They called you what, the Tupac Chopra? I think it was called.
Where Tupac meets Deepak, which is so funny because flash forward, you know, and now I work for Deepak Chopra and I lead meditations, and yeah, life is beautiful.
Life is great. So, like, when did you start to get into Tupac? Like, was it always from like as a kid?
Yeah. You know, it's so interesting, like when we think about why we connect to the words or the music that we connect with and what it served for us in that time. Because I remember, you know, I grew up in LA, and I know Tupac lived a bunch of places, but the majority of how we remember him is writing for the West Coast, right? Like we think very California love. When I was in middle school, that's when like he was really at his height. Like he was putting out, he was very prolific with his output. He was putting out so many albums. And then he had so many smash singles that were so West Coast. And for people that are like West Coast, old hip hop heads like myself, you know, you think of like that death row era, you think of that G-Funk era, you think of like the melodic nature of these records, you think of the aggressive spitting that's happening on these songs, you think of, you know, as they say on all the songs, the women, the liquor, and the weed, like there's like, you know, it's a mood, it's a vibe, it's very much like a savoring a party and experiencing that sunshine on your skin and the melody and the being in traffic and seeing, you know, palm trees in your distance. Like that is the feeling of LA music. So yeah, I was in middle school, and I mean, I think one of the first albums I ever copped with my own money was the double disc of All Eyes on Me.
All Eyes on Me. It's classic material.
Yeah, and I think, Tupac really called to me at that time. One, because he was so fine. Like, Pac was
Oh my.
so fine and so charismatic, and just he had an essence about himself that was so much bigger, that filled a room before he entered it, and that's such a rare experience. And a lot of people are famous, a lot of people do take up space and invoke inspiration, but the way Pac did it, there was a divinity to it. There was really, what I resonated with, it just felt like there was a higher calling on his life outside of just whatever his output of music was. Like, we know that if he was still alive, he would have already won a couple Oscars. He would have opened up different centers. He would have been an activist. He would have created different community resources. Like, he had vision for so much at so young, and we forget he was a baby.
He was only 24, right?
24. Yeah. He was making music between like 18 and 24. What did we know about life back then? Yeah. Like, I thought I was dope at 24, but I look back and I'm like, what the hell were you talking about, girl? Like, so it's like, for him to have access to those deeper layers of himself, like, now when I look back, at the time I was just like, oh, he's fine and he's deep and this song is banging. But now, looking back at it through wisdom and through, the lens that I have now, it's like, no, it was the resonance of his spirit. It was that wholeness. It was that access to all the facets of his humanity that, was just breathtaking. And no, he wasn't perfect. Like, yes, there was misogyny in his hip hop. Yes, there was some problematic and very, low vibe things.
True.
And there was also revolution in his music. And there was also a deep protection of Black women in his music. And there was a heart in his music and an empathy in his music. And
he was human.
He was a human. Yeah. He was a human. So we experienced all his emotions, and he helped us experience ours.
Yep, absolutely. So your favorite album, is it All Eyes on Me, or is it?
That's so hard.
I feel like you're a Machiavelli kind of girl too.
Yeah. I mean, and that one was so powerful because he had just passed when it came out. And all of those songs were like smash singles. And it really, he also had 2 movies that came out around the same time. So it was that kind of, that tragic air of what could have been.
Hold that thought right quick, Dad. Okay. There might be some Jehovah's Witnesses at the door. Hold on.
Okay.
Talk about some people, Dad.
Oh, Lord. I see Glasses Malone just popped in. One of my best friends, who is also one of my least favorite people to debate anything with. I'm not talking to you about Tupac Glasses, so don't you leave no comments.
No, we here. It's all good, Deb.
Okay.
So, I know we're talking about Tupac, and like I said, throughout your journey, I know you've always collected pieces of Tupac.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see some of the things that you could share with us and the viewers.
Okay, so I'm going to start with my very first Tupac collector's piece. This was the very first item that I got.
All right.
And I got this a few years ago. This is an autograph on notebook paper from him.
Wow. That's dope.
And it's kind of framed out with some other stuff, but.
And that's authentic. That's not like someone pretending to be Tupac. That's like a real authentic.
No. These are all very vetted. And also, after I bought them too, so this is very verified, authentic, it's vetted. And then I also, all the pieces that I have, I sent them to another evaluator because they're all insured.
Wow.
Like, some of what you'll see is very priceless.
Yeah, wow.
So I love that piece. And, it's crazy because I remember that I got it. I received it as a gift a Christmas, like maybe 5 years ago. And, at that time, I hadn't even thought of looking up Tupac things. Like, I had seen like his Hummer go on sale and it was like $1 million. I was like, well, that's not for me. But I didn't really realize like that there were pieces of him in the world in this way. And so when I got this piece, like, I remember like, I mean, we're talking about Pac, but how like really connected to Pac's I feel, and how like I stand. And I think a lot of people that know me now as this embodiment of myself, like in wellness and mindfulness, like, they couldn't imagine, but Pac is like, he helped me discover myself. He's one of, his life's journey is one of my greatest teachers. And he's, very much what he said about planting that seed that will spark the brain. Like he planted seeds in all of our brains. And I feel like, you know, I just really take that to heart. I really carry his intention to heart. And as a kid who was misunderstood and felt like they were, you know, didn't have a lot of forms of expression, like hearing his music helped me feel seen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it what song in particular gave you that kind of emotion? Was it, I mean, I'm sure it's a bunch of them, but is there anyone that stands out?
Yeah. Definitely like Keep Your Head Up, Baby Don't Cry.
Baby Don't Cry, yeah.
I loved, you know, California Love, of course. I also loved, like, you know, Troublesome 96 and Ambitions as a Rider. Picture Me Rollin' is my favorite rap along song.
You know what my favorite Tupac song is?
Tell me.
And it's nowhere available. It's Pain off the
oh, yes, you love that song.
I think in my opinion, I think it might be the best Tupac song. It's so good.
Yeah.
I mean, you could feel the emotion, you know, when him and Stretch are on together. Yeah.
And you know, when I was 18, one of my best friends was murdered, and a song that has resonated with me so deeply has always been Unconditional Love and So Many Tears. Those were songs that like really helped my grieving process over the years, and also recently revisiting them with other passings.
Right.
Yeah.
Tupac, it definitely, it's almost like a Tupac song for every occasion. You know, when you're happy, you're sad, like
you want to fight, there's a song for that. Yes. Let's cue up, hit 'em up, like.
Absolutely. So when you got that gift, like most women, like, you know, they want bags, they want money or whatever. But when you got that gift, like, what was your reaction? You got an autograph.
Yeah, I mean, at that time I started, I definitely was like, I was just in awe. You know, that was the closest I had ever been to Pac or his energy, and you know, it was just kind of like, whoa. And granted, it's like in real world reality, it's a pin mark on a piece of paper, you know, but there was just something about connecting to the essence of when it was signed. It was just like, oh,
that's hard.
Yeah.
So, and I also saw that you have like a bandana from Tupac or something, right?
Okay, now I'm gonna pretend like I'm on crib. So
it's okay. It's all right. Nice crib, by the way, Deb.
Huh?
A nice crib, by the way.
Thank you.
This is the one I went. This is the same spot in Houston, or have you moved? Or
oh no, I live in LA. I've been back in LA for a long time. Okay, so let me see if I can turn the camera around. Are y'all ready for this? This is my second favorite piece.
Second favorite piece. Wow. A Tupac autographed bandana. Wow. Now, how did you obtain that?
So let me tell you that story after I show you the third piece, because they came together. But this is kind of my little Tupac wall in general.
It's like a shrine.
So I have this Pac painting, and then Ganesha, mover of obstacles.
Right.
My girl Bombay got me this.
Shout out to Bombay.
That is my girl. And then this blue bandana.
I think Glasses Malone is plotting on you right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm not paying attention. I'm not paying attention. But this is really cool. And so the story of this one, I'll tell you the fuller story of it after I show you the other piece. But this was actually in the hands of one of his former bodyguards. And it was one of the bandanas that he had worn during the show. So as you can see, it's
wow.
It's a little worn and frayed.
Wow.
And then he signed it right there.
So Pac actually wore that during a show. Do you know what show it was, or was it?
I don't. Man. I mean, it's not that he had many. Like, that was before stadium tours, and and you know, he didn't really get the chance to tour that much from different happening. But yeah, that piece is like,
that's priceless, and it's actually one. Oh my goodness. Do people come by the house and do like just stare in awe at that for a while, or?
Yeah, the next one, really. Yeah, because it was so funny. I remember one time, you know, Schoolboy Q is a close friend, and so we talk crap to each other all the time. And so we're both big Pac fans, and I was like, "Oh, you ain't got this though," and I showed him a bandana, and then he actually had something really dope signed by Pac, which I'll let him tell you. So he was like, "Oh, but look at this." And then I sent him a photo of the next thing I'm going to show you, and he just stopped responding. So I think I ended conversations with the next one I have.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I mean, you could do it better than I can, Dev. You introduce it.
Okay. So I'm going to show you first, and then I'm going to tell the story. This piece actually, like, I saw it, and when I put it in my hands, like, it gave me chills, and it definitely made me, like, tear up. And for anybody that's like, damn, why do you feel so many chills and tearing up? Like, that's me. I'm just an empath, and I'm a deep feeler. I feel really connected to people and things. So, okay, so I'm going to start at the bottom.
Okay.
So this piece was taken at the MGM Grand during the Tyson and Sheldon fight, which, as we know, happened on September 7th, 1996, the night he was taken from us.
Yep.
And this is the last thing he ever signed before he went out onto the strip and his life was taken. So this is a fight night shirt from that night at MGM Grand, which is Sheldon versus Tyson. It's dated September 7th, MGM Grand. And then it was signed Tupac.
Wow. Talk about priceless.
Peace to you, Tupac. And this is actually how I sign all my books. I just put peace to you, Devi.
Wow.
But yeah, so this is the full piece. I need to get it reframed. I don't love the way it's framed, but I haven't thought of a concept yet. So this is
that. I think that belongs like in the Smithsonian or something. Like, how long have you had that?
I put it on loan. So the story behind that was it was, not to sound overly dramatic, but
no, go dramatic.
I feel like it was God that put it in my hands. So I collect a few different things. So I have like first editions from Maya Angelou. I have a first edition from Nelson Mandela's book. There are certain things that really connect to me, certain people's like energy that I really resonate with. And I try to bring that energy into my home. So, you know, I had that other piece of Pac, the autograph, and then I went to Vegas when I was 7 months pregnant and I was walking around Caesar's Palace and I was like, for anybody that's been that pregnant, you're just like you can't breathe, you're barely walking.
Right.
So I was moving around and I just was like, I have to rest. And so I sat down on this bench in Caesar's Palace and I looked up and there was this like little antique store. And so I'm an antiquer. Like I just share, like I'm somebody that likes foraging for things. I really like, I just like finding special things that are really one of one. So I was like, all right, let me get up. I got to walk around there. So I go inside and the moment I get inside, you know, we're in Vegas and it was run by a much, much older couple. They appear to be like an older white couple. And so most of the things that were up were like memorabilia from Frank Sinatra, memorabilia from John Wayne. There was some Beatles stuff there. You know, there was Babe Ruth. Like there was a lot of like items like that were just taking over the walls and like were the huge centerpieces of the store. That stuff was like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like it was crazy. Like there was some really Elvis's jumpsuit, like that kind of stuff. Right. So just as a joke, I don't even know what made me ask her this. I was like, oh, do you have anything from Tupac? I don't know what made me ask her that because I wouldn't have assumed to find it there. And she said, you said Tupac. And I was like, yeah, Tupac Shakur. She was like, actually, we just got something in from him. We haven't even had a chance to frame it yet. We just got it. We just bought it from someone a couple weeks ago. And I was like, okay. So she was like, she sent someone to the back. They came back out with a takeout plastic bag that had a shirt and a bandana rolled up inside of it. And she opened the bag. And the second she opened the bag, I was like,
you thought you were about to go into labor.
I was like it literally felt, and I know for some of you, you're like, you are dramatic. But I was like I just froze. I got like a hot sweat, like my heart started beating fast and I was like, what the hell is this? So she pulls out the shirt and it's that shirt just rolled up neatly in this bag. And she pulls out this bandana and I like put the bandana in my hand and it's signed and I'm like, And I literally, like, my eyes filled with tears because I instantly understood, looking at that shirt, this is potentially the last thing he ever signed for a fan or for anyone before he went out on the strip. You know, like, that's like, whoa, you know?
And it's the fight, and it's the tie-ins are just so crazy.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I live a very synchronistic life where, like, certain things, like, I'll, you know, you think of something, you're just like, oh, there it is. But this was like, this scared me. Like, I was just like, "Bitch, what? Like, what did you, how did we get here?"
Right.
And so instantly I looked at that shirt and I was just like, September 7th, 1996, I see his thing. And then she was like mentioning more about it, but I, like, literally, like, I was blacked out. And she was like, yeah, and there's surveillance footage of him signing this shirt. We authenticated it. He was on his way out of this hotel. And of course, she doesn't know because she doesn't know who Tupac is. Like, for us, he's a global icon, but it's not her jam. It's not her lane. So she was like, if this ain't Frank Sinatra, I'm not, who cares? So she was just like, yeah. And, you know, he was supposed to be like a very good musician. And I was just like, what the fuck? So I blurred out and I'm like, how much? How much?
How much?
I don't want you to know its worth.
Right.
How much? And then she was like, well, we were thinking, we haven't framed it yet. We're thinking about this or that. And I was like, how much for both? Let's bundle it.
Right.
What can I give you for both? And so I told her a price. And she was like, okay, yep, let's ring it up. And I literally, like, I was just like, we have to finish this deal before you understand what you are about to lose. Like, ring me up. Here's my card. Run it, you know? And I get it back home and I go to take it framed and I go to have it. Like, I have all the documents that come with it, but I also, just for insurance purposes, I had it reassessed. And what's wild is it was already off top worth 20 times what I paid for it because she didn't know what it was. And she didn't see value or worth in it because it wasn't her lane. But instantly, like, and I was just like, Jesus, thank you. And so they ended up framing it for me. I need to get it reframed. But yeah, so I actually have not shared this online before, ever, but I've had it for about 2 years now, maybe 2.5.
I think I speak on everyone's behalf. Like, we're speechless right now. Like, when you got it to the framer, like, did they even know what they were framing?
No idea. Like, and which is so, you know, that's always so funny because it's like to me, this is one of the biggest influences and icons of my life. Like, this, Tupac is why I fell in love with hip hop. Tupac is why I ever cared about it or felt connected to it on a soul level or felt that the words spoke for me. You know, which is really the beauty of hip hop. Like, the beauty of hip hop is the storytelling and the sharing and, you know, our experiences and being able to be lessons for other people. And so that's how I connected with him. And yeah, so for me, he's like one of the most valuable, incredible beings. And it's like, for her, it was like, oh yeah, Tupac. And I'm like, all right, give it to me.
You essentially have the last Tupac autograph. You know, that famous picture of him and Suge, that's like this last photo. So you have the last, last manuscript handwriting of Tupac, essentially.
Yeah. And, you know, and I'll just say this for anybody that watches this, it's not for sale. So please don't DM me.
I'm about to ask.
I'll never part with this, ever.
I'm sure people have given you offers and things like that, right?
Yeah. I'll never part with it. Yeah, not for any reason. This will be my son.
Can we see it one more time? That's literally priceless. That's like the equivalent of like Kobe's game ball or something like that. You have a Tupac Sheldon Tyson shirt. It says Peace Tupac. Wow. It doesn't get any better than that. That belongs at the Met, the Smithsonian. Wow. That, man. Yeah, that's priceless right there. Wow. Talk about a conversation piece.
B, I know we got 4 minutes left. Can I show you a
Yes. We have a mayor. He's saying he'll gladly buy it. I'm sure you would, Mayor.
No, thank you. But much love to you. But no, thank you.
Yes, Dev, one more thing. I know you have to go. You're busy
Okay.
changing the world.
So this is a little bit different, but these were just things, you know, Brian, you and me are friends in real life, and we were also friends of Nipsey from when he started. Like I knew Nipsey when he had short curls, and just a profoundly special person.
Yeah.
And so as I was cleaning up my office a couple months ago, and I found some things that from my era of when he and I first met, which was I think he and I first met in maybe 07.
Okay.
07. Maybe 07. And this is when I used to work in radio in LA, and I was super connected to underground LA hip hop, and that was like truly one of my biggest passions in life. This is when all y'all were still like not taking the West Coast seriously and weren't giving respect to our artists that they deserve.
It wasn't me, Dev, I promise.
It was all y'all in New York. Like you guys, like the level of disrespect, atrocious. Like my God.
Oh, my
but you guys eventually came to see. Yes. But so at that time, you know, Nip, I was getting started in radio, but I was like putting people's music on the radio, like without permission. And so Nip used to always come up to see me at the station, and he would just come and sit on the side of my desk or play me music, or he'd invite me to lunch downstairs at Fat Burger. And we just sit and eat burgers, and we would talk about our dreams and talk about like West Coast music. And God, that was such a special time.
It's hard. It's hard. Yeah. It's hard. Even talking about Nip, it's still, I haven't listened to Victory Lap since his passing. I can't listen to it in full. It brings back too many emotions, you know, and even just talking about him, even talking about him in the past tense, it doesn't seem real. So I totally understand where you're coming from.
Oh my God. Yeah. I don't know if a lot of us, especially that really knew him, and really felt his light, I don't know if we'll ever be able to process this, to be honest. So I found, some original mixtapes that he used to keep in the trunk of his car, and he used to give me, and he used to always give me a stack at work, and I would pass them out to people. And like Charlemagne talked about this in his book, but like one of the days that he was visiting LA when he was working on Wendy's show, like I just rolled up on him and I was like, this is what you need to know about it. And it was like stacks of like all these mixtapes, and Nips were some of them. So these were like some of his early tapes from the back of his car.
Wow. Slow Some Boys. That's Bullets Volume 1, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Bullets Ain't Got No Name, Volume 1. And, you know, it's like little pressed up. Damn.
That's really out the trunk. Man.
Yeah. And then I have this one. I think this was like, no, that one was the single. And then I have this one, which was my personal favorite mixtape, which was.
Oh, see, that's
Bullets Volume 2.
Volume 2, the classic. I think that was the time me and you kind of first connected around this mixtape, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, yep.
Yep.
And it's funny because at the time, like, I would sneak his music on the radio. And, like, I remember my boss at the time, Adrian Scott, like, we were both big champions of his, and he wasn't getting played on LA radio. And so we AD edited himself the single to manually delete out all the cuss words and all the gang references so we could play it on the radio. And we started playing it, and he was just like, yo, Dev, like, this is crazy. Like, I'm on the radio, like, yo. And then we started getting people from the community calling to boycott it because the gang references and the Rolling 60 references were so heavy for this particular project.
Wow.
And so I remember I was like, Nip, like, we want to play your music. You just have to crip less on wax. Like, I can't, like, I'm having community leaders, like, call me and leave me voice mails telling me how, you know, this is happening. And he actually talked about it in his very first interview he did. It was either with Fader or Complex. And he was like, yeah, my sis Dev told me I had to change up, you know, what I was talking about on the records a little bit so they could get spun.
Yeah.
And then when I first left LA the first time, when I moved to Houston for a bit, it was 2010, and he brought me this sweater because I was like, I'm going to be so homesick. How am I leaving LA? I left for a job in another radio market. And so this was his first run of Crenshaw sweatshirts, just from the swap meet. Tag is like, you know, regular swap meet. They were like hand stitched. And this was the very first run
Wow.
sweatshirt.
That's the OG.
So you see, like, it's like, you know, just like a very regular tag.
Right.
And it's like, you see, like, you know, the stitching on it.
Wow.
And it's very worn because I used to wear this constantly.
That's the OG,
yeah.
the original.
And then just real quick, just for fun, because I found this mixtape too when I was looking for the Nipsey mixtapes. Who remembers this?
Wow, Escape to New York. The No Sleep joint. Wow.
Yeah, look at little baby K.Dot.
Now that is an artifact for real.
I remember Punch and Top brought this by to me. Look at this.
Wow. That's crazy.
I know. So now my shameless plug, before I got to go to a work meeting, download the Chopra app.
Yes.
I lead daily meditations on that app. It's Deepak Chopra's Life Work on an app. You can get it in the App Store. And every morning I lead a new meditation for you. So if you want to get into meditation, if you're already into it, please, please bless yourself with nourishing your soul and check me out there.
Dev, you have like the most calming spirit and voice. Like,
thank you.
I love it. I love it. You're like ASMR for my ears. I love it. Dev, you are the best. And I think this might be the greatest Artifacts episode so far. I'm just putting it out there. No offense to the previous guests, but that Tupac shirt is just blowing my mind.
Maybe we could do like a versus. Like, tell me who the second was and we could battle.
I know, right? Man's going to call me immediately after this. But, Dev, I appreciate you. I love you. And
love you,
you are the best. I'll see you when we get back to LA.
Okay. Bye.
Cool. Bye. Another episode of Artifacts in the Books. That was crazy. Dev definitely raised the bar. Make sure y'all go download the Chopra app right now. Shout out to Devin Brown. And wow. All that Tupac memorabilia, the Nipsey, the original hoodie. I mean, wow. Where do we go to from here? I don't know. You tell me. Man, shout out to the guys, it's Malone. Shout out to my homie Tubbs, Simone, all the regulars in here, new face. Appreciate you guys. Dennis was good. And yeah, we're gonna do this again next week. Shout out one time to Griselda. Appreciate the shout out, guys. Yeah, wow. I'm speechless. I'm really at a loss for words. No Limit, appreciate you. Ayo, made it. Appreciate you guys. Make sure in the meantime, while you download the Chopra app, please subscribe, like, share, review, comment on the Artifacts YouTube page. Let's keep it growing. We're going to keep doing this until we get back to doing what we get back to doing, all right? In the meantime, appreciate you guys checking in. Tune in next week. Peace.